then that's all I really need as confirmations for the week to want to continue down there. I don't have to catch this entire 130 pips. I don't need the whole thing, but today is Sunday, August 13th, and looking at this week's outlook coming up, like I said, no CPI, no NFP. We do have FOMC minutes on Wednesday, which is not really, it's not like they're announcing an interest rate or anything like that. It's actually just going to be the written version of the meeting that we had like back at the end of July, right? So it's not like it's going to be any new information, but that is hitting the market, so we could see that maybe affect what we have going on this week. But for the most part, it's nothing like when we actually have an interest rate announcement, or when we have CPI like last week, or NFP. So if there was going to be a week we saw phenomenal price action, it would be a week like what we have on this week's news events, right? So tomorrow, no real news tomorrow. All of this news is going into Tuesday session because it's like in the evening time. So yeah, we do have high impact JPY news tomorrow evening, Tuesday morning for Japan. So we can keep that in account. Tuesday, our high impact news on Tuesday is going to be retail sales for dollar. So we do have some New York session high impact news, and then some medium impact. And then we have New Zealand interest rates on Tuesday evening, which goes into Wednesday. The next thing I'll pay attention to is on Wednesday London session, we're going to be seeing pound CPI drop. So you could put that on your calendar, that, something to take account for. And then we have high impact news for the dollar, 8:30 on Wednesday. And then we have some 10:30 news. And like I said, we got that FOMC meeting minutes. And then we have Philadelphia on Thursday for US dollars. So every day this week we have high impact news for the dollar at 8:30, except for Friday, which is okay with me. I'm not complaining. And then Euro, we have CPI on Friday for the Euro. All right. So like I said, pretty smooth news release week we got going on. All right. Pretty smooth news release week. Now, going into this week's analysis, I am continuing with my favor of bulls, right? Favor of bulls, especially because they're continuing to confirm what it is that we're looking at. And it's funny because people always there's certain people who always ask me why I start out on the monthly every week or the weekly, and it's because you don't know what's going on if you're not looking at the higher time frame. You feel me? So So I'm loving the fact that we did come again down on these lows on the monthly time frame. We swept those lows on dollar, came into this monthly fair value gap, and again, just like I've been saying the past couple of weeks, we've seen them displaced from that in July, right? So this here shows me a willingness for them to want to see a premium price action, right? Because we're expanding from this discount, and so what I'm looking at is still, we have not reached these highs of July, right? If I go down to the weekly time frame, right, we're still looking at price delivering, right? So price came down to a monthly premium, so we want to see them go to a weekly discount, and the only place for them to deliver to that I've been expecting would be July's highs right here, right? Which also is the highs of June, right? So we got like a bit of a double top right there. So July's highs, right? So that's kind of my draw on liquidity right now. Everything that I am seeing and paying attention to right now is on that draw on liquidity. Now, I am also taking into account, of course, the May highs, right, which we have here. July was within this quarter, the third quarter. May, that would be the high of May as well as the high of the second quarter. You feel me? So I'll be paying attention to both of these levels, but since we're not swing trading or anything for right now, I get to just pay attention to this one. So that's where we got our eyes at. And again, as we're seeing them go ahead and continue higher, I'm just looking for more and more confirmations on that. Now, last week, I have it already here on my chart. This was last week's Monday, and you can see price action last week was very minimal, right? It wasn't until, again, which is expected on Thursday, we had CPI last week, Thursday, and they swept the lows of the week and the previous Friday's lows with that CPI action. And then we saw them start to break out of the consolidation that we have, you know, that's shaken up in this area. So with that being said, I am looking to see, again, continued price action to the high side. Now, I also want to point out that we have this was our last down candle into these lows of the year, right? These were the lowest prices of the year right here. Boom, right? That was our sell side liquidity. All right, and this was that last down candle into that level, and we saw price expand from there and engulf this one. Like, we got 4 bullish weeks in a row to engulf this last candle, right? So this, in my eyes, is what? A bullish order block, right? Weekly bullish order block. All right, that's what I see with that weekly candle right there. All right, so with that being said, of course, what do I expect when it comes to a order block like this, right? Is that I would expect for them to use that as a bounce off to get to higher prices. Now, it looks on this time frame like we haven't traded back down to that level yet, but if we go down to the daily now, you'll notice that we did trade back down into that order block, right? So this is where it opened here, traded off lower into these levels, and then we saw price action come up above it here the first week of August. They traded back down into that order block, and we got expansion again, right? And then last week, CPI, that was when, again, they traded back down, and you can see even on Wednesday, they traded down to the level, came away from it, and then CPI, they came down to the level, and then we saw expansion away from it. So honestly, this order block is played, right? We've already played this level. I shouldn't honestly see any more price action anywhere back to these lows. So now, me looking at this week's price action, I'm really expecting bullishness towards the upside without any. I'm expecting bullish candles. Again, my higher time frame perspective is bullish, on top of having a higher time frame perspective of bullishness. When I come down to the daily, I see they've already traded down into a discount. And if I take y'all back to that weekly one more time, and we run our fibs from the high here down to this low, right? That weekly order block is right around the equilibrium, right? Kind of right there. I mean, if we choose to only use the bodies of the candle, then same level. So yeah, that's what I'm anticipating, is that we shouldn't want to come down here again. And if we come down there again, then it will make me question whether I'm going to see continued bullishness to my targets up here, right? So we're looking to see them trade towards 103.58, right? That's the level we're looking to see them trade towards. Now, you know, it's funny because this chart is a little bit different, but I am going to use the other dollar chart real quick. All right, because if we look at this other dollar chart real quick, we'll notice a couple things, right? We'll notice that we have right here from last week, we have a gap here between Thursday and Friday. So given everything I just explained to you, where we saw them trade away from this weekly order block right here, all right, I'm not expecting for them to come anywhere lower than this. So I'm expecting this to be that discount level that we come to and trade away from. All right, to continue higher, right? So somewhere down into this level, and then an expansion higher. So either either it's Monday, we'll see them trade up into this gap, right? We'll see them trade up into this gap, use that as an excuse to trade lower from here, and then we'll see them actually trade up higher towards these levels. Now I am looking at the highs of July's, but you know, we'll be aware of once they do come through on these highs. Now you want to remember that if we're expecting bullish price action, that action is confirmed by price disrespecting premium key levels, right? So for example, we had this fair value gap right here, right? Boom. So we got this fair value gap right here, and price struggled there, but then they did eventually come back down, right? So they traded up to the gap, traded back into the order block, came back again into the gap, traded back down into the order block, and then respected the discount level. So they respected the weekly order block, right? But they disrespected the daily fair value gap, right? So this is showing me confirmations that we are making our way with sponsorship towards this high, right? And so you can see we've traded through this level. So now that we've disrespected this fair value gap, the next level I want to see them disrespect would be, again, this gap here, which is in conjunction with this order block, got these rejection blocks, right? I want to see them violate all of this. All right, so any opportunities I get to see dollar continue higher, that's what I'm gonna be paying attention to. But like I said, on the average dollar chart, we don't really have any gap here to pay attention to, so it makes it a little bit more difficult. But when I have stuff like that, I mean, that's why I looked at the other chart, but now I can even go down to the 4 hour and see if I see anything interesting. Right now, in that same area, now you'll notice on this DXY chart, that same area right here, this gray box right here that I have on a 4 hour time frame, is these 4 candles down, right, which is pretty much a mitigation candle, right? So in this same level would be kind of where I'm paying attention to seeing them trade down to and away from. Now if I go to the other dollar chart, that same level right here, we have a fair value gap. All right, and it's not as easy to see because clearly you have this wick here, but that is a very ugly wick. That wick is way bigger than this candle, so I'm not going to count that wick. I'm not going to pay attention to that. So I'm going to pay attention to the body of these candles. And I'm going to pay attention to it like this. All right. So if price is going to expand higher, I want to see them keep this fair value gap. It's kind of where my head is at. All right. Another thing to kind of give away is that weekly order block that we traded down into it here. This was that last down candle, right? And I guess you could see this almost like as a propulsion block, because this was a down order block, quote unquote, into that same weekly order block, and they traded out of it. So I kind of want to see them again respect this level, right? They've already kind of traded down into that. Let me go to the 4 hour, and guess what I can pull out? I could pull out this previous down candle over here that brought us down to these lows. All right, so you see price action. We traded from these highs. We traded all the way down, and we swept the lows over here, right? But that began with this price action, and it began with this price action here. So I want to see them respect these levels and continue higher. The last confirmation I'll point out is that if I pay attention to this range, is giving a low what's that thing called? Low resistance liquidity run, right? That's how it's looking to me, right? There's in between where price is here where price is here and these highs, we only have this one premium order block, right? That's all, right? This one low, and that's it. And they've already shown that they are willing to push through this fair value gap, through these gaps here, through this breaker block, this block here, right? We're shown multiple times that price is on the way through. So that's not really a lot of defense. But then when you look on the other side, we have multiple highs from where price is right here. We have a high here. We have a high here. We have an order block. We have the weekly order block. So there's a number of supports, I guess you could say, or highs in between where price is here. Even looking at it on this time frame, right, on the 4 hour, got high, 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 high that they would have to break past to get to these lows, versus coming over these highs. There's not a lot of resistance. So I'm seeing a high probability potential for us to go bullish on DXY this week. All right, and I'm gonna be paying attention to them trading back down into this mitigation here, which is inside that fair value gap we pointed out, and then seeing some expansion to the upside, right? So that's what I'll be paying attention to see a setup for on Monday, on Tuesday following Monday. And of course, if I want to see them come into this, if Monday's price action, we see them come even like just above this and not come down to it, that'll be even better, because that'll make me feel like, yeah, Tuesday, we definitely going to go ahead and run that and then see a trade higher, right? So that's what I want to be paying attention to on DXY this week. And of course, with our impact, our news for this week, I'll be paying attention to seeing moves like that playing out going into Tuesday morning. We got Wednesday morning news. There's a lot of opportunities for that thing to play out. All right, so that's what we're looking for. Now, continuing on, we take a look over at EURUSD. Now, if I'm bullish on dollar, then clearly I would be anticipating continued bearishness on euro, right? So let's check out the monthly. Now on euro, similar situation on euro. It's not as clean on the other crosses, but similar action on euro, right? We had the open of the year right here, January, open of the year. And these were the highs of this year so far. Those were the highs of this year so far. And right here in July, we saw, same as the dollar, we saw a run above these highs. Bink. Right. We saw a run above those highs. And then we've seen price displace lower. All right. Now, again, now I'm paying attention to it, is where would I be looking for them to deliver to? Well, I'll be expecting for them to deliver from this premium high that they just swept. All right. Down into a discount. Right. And that's what I would be paying attention to. Now, when I pay attention to the discount, what do I have in discount to target? Got a nice old fair value gap here. All right, so that's what I'm paying attention to long term on EURUSD, seeing them continue. As long as dollar is going to continue on their rant higher, that's what I'm looking for on the higher time frames on EURUSD. But for right now, looking at the weekly time frame, we see this is where they went ahead and traded above that monthly buy side. And just looking at the last 20 or 30 days ahead before July, right? Because we're in August right now. The last month that actually finished was July. So 30 days before July, about right here, right? And the lowest point within this time place was the lows of June, all right? So I'm paying attention to them coming down to these these sell side levels here. All right. And I mean, of course, we can pay attention to the lows of July as well as an intermediate low. All right. So those are my targets on my draws on liquidity for Euro USD. And we can see that after they made this expansion up higher, we've now dropped lower, similar to the dollar. You can peep, this is a weekly order block right here. All right. And last week's price action brought us down below that order block. All right. And last week's price action also traded up into this imbalance. All right. Here, respected it and sold off. All right. So I want to see them disrespect levels of discount because they are clearly respecting levels of premium. We saw them run the buy side liquidity, trade away, leave an imbalance. They came up, respected the imbalance. So from this imbalance, they're going to want to deliver to a level of liquidity. Where's that liquidity? This is the closest one. That's what we talked about. All right. So on Euro USD, I'm going to be paying attention to those continued sell-offs to the downside to get up there. And of course, here is that weekly order block. All right. And we said we don't want to see them disrespect that level. They've already traded back up into that fair value gap, or right here was where they traded up into that imbalance. So I don't want to see them come back up there. All right. This shows a willingness for them to displace lower here with that Friday candle. And even looking here on this daily time frame as of right now, based on the open of today, well, we won't even go, I won't even go based off that. For right now, I'm gonna pay attention to this open of this mitigation candle. All right. Now, what I was gonna say is that here you can notice we're kind of forming a bit of a fair value gap with this low here. Got a bit of, there's an imbalance right there. I want to see them respect that, right? If I see them respect that, then of course it would be the same as them respecting this up candles, this mitigation candles. It will be the same thing. So that's going to be 109.56 we're going to be paying attention to on Euro USD. All right, 109.56, and seeing them target so far, well, lows of July as well as the lows of August, right, can be a target as well. So we'll go ahead and keep those in mind. Going down to the 4 hour, just for a little added confirmation. Well, guess what? We didn't get the finished fair value gap on the daily yet, but looking here on this 4 hour time frame, here's our consolidation that started to play out. They swept up above the highs here, and then we saw the markets reverse. Saw them kind of just about almost trade back into that order block, right? And then expand lower. And then we saw them make this trend up higher on Friday, and they expanded lower. And then here they came back up, respected that candle, and then expanded lower. So again, if I'm expecting a retracement, I'm gonna be paying attention to them coming back up to this fair value gap here on the 4 hour time frame. Even on the 4 hour, you can peep here, had this breaker block, which they kind of traded below here, and then they didn't close above it. They stayed below it with this next candle. So that's why I say that if we're going to continue to see more bearish price action, then truthfully, we would want to see them respect this fair value gap right here. All right. So like I said, we're going to keep our eye on 109.50 for euro. Let me put that here. $109.56, right? And from 109.56, and that's about 135 in pippage. So that'll be great. Yeah, that's a nice short-term setup. And we don't have to catch this whole thing, right? I mean, even if Monday they come up and they respect this level and then sell off, then that's all I really need as confirmations for the week to want to continue down there. I don't have to catch this entire 130 pips. I don't need the whole thing. But at the end of the day, like I said, if I see them respect that level, it'll be a confirmation for that continued sell-off. And even on a day trade basis, as they break levels like this, you could just take profits. So even if we were able to catch a level like that, I mean, that's a good 40 pips, right? At the low of August, a good 40 pips, and then continued opportunities. So yeah, that's what I like on Euro. We'll go ahead and peep that. Euro has been treating us well, so we're going to stick with her. I'm a stand buyer, I'm a stand buyer. That's what they say, right? I'm a stand buyer, man. Now, surprisingly, I am gonna go to gold next. All right, I am gonna go to gold next. Hey guys, this is our weekly market outlook where we use multiple time frames to identify opportunities and prepare for the week. Our goal overall is to empower entrepreneurs and professionals, whether you are working a career full-time or running a business full-time. Our goal is to empower you to make day trading a reliable income. All right. So if you're completely new or need a refresher when it comes to day trading currencies or indices, we've gone ahead and created a free mini course just for you. And you can go ahead and access it by clicking the link below in our description. All right. Other than that, if you're ready to get started, hit the subscribe button, leave us a like, and let's go ahead and dive in. Told y'all, I don't always go together with gold, but when we go together, man, we go. It's just a thing. All right, it's just a thing, and she's getting a little bit ready, man. She's getting a little bit ready. Y'all know gold was my first love before I got introduced to crypto back on my crypto days, and now before NAS and forex and all these actions. So looking at gold, all right, inverse to the dollar, and everything I'm saying as well. I also want to confirm when we look at the treasury bonds. Now, remember, treasury bonds I use as a confirmation for dollar, right? Because treasury bonds, typically, we want to see them do the opposite of the dollar, right? Beginning of last week, we saw them doing the same thing. That's how I knew the week would start off as a very low probability week. But as we've seen the dollar go ahead and recover after CPI, we saw treasury bonds make a buy up into this fair value gap. They didn't make it into whatever level that is, but clearly here is the gap, right? We saw them make it up into that and then sell off. So they're respecting premium levels, right? Here they traded up into this gap, sold off, right? In the past here, they traded up into this fair value gap, and then they sold off, right? Here they traded up into this breaker. Well, really order block, my fault, guys, right? Into this order block, and they sold off, right? So we're continuously seeing them respect premium levels and disrespect discount levels, right? They ran these lows, disrespected this order block. They don't care about this, right? Now they've come down into this daily volume imbalance. I want to see them run that thing, right? They've already hit it one time. They respected it, traded back up, respected the premium. Well, if we're bearish, I'm going to want to see them continue down through that. All right. So again, continued confirmations for this week is if we see them respect the imbalance here on bonds. And that's just going to further fulfill what it is that I'm believing to happen. So we see them trade back up into a level like this. Again, you have this, order block here. Little bit of this purple candle being the breaker, right? Any type of respect of this level and seeing them push off, I want to see them disrespect this imbalance and go ahead and continue targeting towards this daily sell side liquidity, right? Same thing when I take that information and now we transpose it over to the to gold. Just looking at the monthly time frame on gold, we saw a run on buy side liquidity. Owanda doesn't show that they swept the highs, but as I've been saying, we could see that they swept the highs if we look at if we look at FXIDC, we saw them sweep the highs here. But again, right, the bodies of the candle is where the majority of orders is at, right? So if we had candle body highs here, candle body highs here, and they came up, closed above it here, and then we saw them sell off. So I don't care what chart, you know, we look at. As far as I'm concerned, they ran the highs. They ran the highs, and now we're selling off. All right. Now, it's two things to pay attention to. Okay. We had this monthly order block that got formed after they swept those highs, and they went ahead and traded back up into that here. And now we're now engulfing the next candle that took us back up into that. So this would be my order block. This would now look like a propulsion block. I don't want to see them close below that. All right. So in August, I would like to see them sell off or respect that level. And then our next level of liquidity on the monthly time frame would be the lows here of February to pay attention to. And that's monthly sell side. All right. And I mean, of course, we have the FVG. There's a number of stuff to pay attention to down there, but this is the monthly, so we're not going to get too caught up there, right? Now, that level here on the weekly time frame, again, looking at July, beginning of July here, going back 20 days before that, just about June. So this is our last like month or so of price action. And you can see we ran the highs of the last 20 days here. And then we displaced, right? We didn't see them close up there. They didn't close above the highs, right? They held strong, right? Respected that level and sold off. Even if we look over to the left over here, I'm gonna make this stay on the higher time frame so it's not so crowded. All right, even if we look over to the left over here and I look at this fair value gap, boom, weekly time frame FVG, boom, and you can see, boom, right here, July 17th, we traded up to it, respected that, sold off, right? So we had a monthly premium that we traded into. We sold off from that premium into this weekly discount, which is this FVG. We saw them respect it. They traded away, retested now this weekly fair value gap and order block as well up in here. Boom. And we could use the wick. All right, just like that, or we could use both of the candles together, whatever you want to do. They respected it, and then they sold off. So I want to see continued sells, right? These are signs that are showing me that they are liking to continue bearish, and the idea is just, right? The idea is just what levels are we looking for now after they came into this weekly order block and fair value gap, because there was both up there. That was on the weekly, and then they attacked, because I'm on the daily time frame. We saw them disrespect this daily imbalance, right? So they're showing respect for the premium and disrespect for lower price, for lower key levels. They disrespected that lower discount, right? Now they came down to this breaker, and we saw them not respect that breaker and sell off below it, right? Then they came down to the order block. Now they kind of playing around in the order block, but clearly they not respecting that thing either. All right, this is what I want to see to confirm bearish price action. All right, so with that being said, the idea is, well, what am I looking like? Where are we looking to see them continue to? And the two things that come to my eye would be the lows of August. Well, I guess, no, this is the lows of June. My apologies. All right. So we got these lows here, lows of July as well. Similar to EURUSD, right? We got the lows of July here. And then there's plenty over here for me to target on a higher time frame. But on gold, that low is already 100. That's already almost 100 pips. All right, I don't need to do too much. I don't trade gold trying to catch 200 pips no more. So I don't even need to do too much. But you can know on a higher time frame scale, I would be paying attention to this breaker, right, that we have over here, so which is inside this FVG. So I'm gonna pay attention to that, which is an order block, right? So we're gonna put something there to annotate that. So this, and that was the open of March as well. Oh, daily order block. All right, so I will put a magnifying glass here to depict that, and I will put a magnet there to depict this drawn liquidity. All right, so my question would be, where can I potentially see opportunities? And like we said, we want to see them respect this level. We don't want to see them come up any and close above the halfway point of this at all. This right here, we don't want to see them come up above or close above that at all, right? That would not be good looks. That's like 400 pips to the upside. There's no reason that they should be up there. All right, so let's see, what can I use down on the daily now? Let's go down to the 4 hour. When I don't see something clearly on a specific time frame, I'm just gonna, I'm just gonna continue to travel lower. So let's depict last Monday's price action, which was here. This was last week. That was the beginning of last week, right there. And as y'all can see, we've literally just been selling off since we came up to that order block. We've just been continuing to sell off. So from where we're at right now, because you see here on the 4 hour time frame, what I'm paying attention to is this black line. I'll make it larger. This is that daily monthly propulsion block that we identified. So I'm gonna put a red there, right? That's that monthly propulsion block that we had identified. You know what I'm saying? So I want to see aggressive price action away from there, like a lot, like very fast price action away from there on a monthly. So that equals dump is what it equals. So now just paying attention to that same level, right? Last week we had this order block here, right, that formed on Thursday right before CPI or going into CPI. This is that candle that was engulfed, and you can see that it's literally right at that same level, and they respected that on Friday, traded right back up to it on Friday. I'll use my arrow, right? They traded right back up to it on Friday, and then we saw more displacement. So again, we're seeing them respect premium, disrespect discount. They traded through the order block here and continued lower. They traded back up to the order block, to that same level, and then we expanded lower. So guess what? And now they're traded back up into this one, and they've traded lower. So I'm gonna wait till tomorrow night on gold, because I want a higher I would want a higher position than the dump off that we're seeing right now. From my eyes, just looking at it at this very moment, I will be paying attention to this baby gap here at 1915. That's like 40 pips above where we're at right now. That's kind of what has my attention at the moment. But maybe we'll see Monday. Maybe we'll see Monday give us a little bit of choppiness to give us something that looks a little bit better. But I'll be paying attention to that 19. What is this? 1916 12. Yeah, 1916 on gold. I'll be paying attention to, and we'll see how they respond to that level to potentially sell off, right? Because literally it's just, she's just dumping, right? Even compared to what we just looked at on Euro, like Euro has a little bit more structure to the left of it for us to respect, trade back up to, and then sell off. You feel me? So it's like, yeah, you know, key levels just gonna repeat themselves. You feel me? And so it's like, that's why I say the thing is, when you look at gold though, like there's not really any, there's nothing to the left of it. It's just the target. You feel me? So they could really just straight sell off and go towards it. So that's why I want to see them give more of a bit of a pullback or something for me to scale into. And then to just, I'm not about to sell low, right? You sell high, buy low, right? So no matter how good it looks and how clear the target is, I'm not gonna enter, you know, at this point, especially on a Sunday at 8:55 p.m. Like that's kind of like, that's stupid. Literally, that's literally stupid, right? So unless you're swing trading, right? If you're swing trading, then of course, like on some real stuff, like if I was swing trading and I peeped an opportunity like this, then yeah, this here, like that 1919 was enough of a confirmation. So as a swing trader, one could enter the setup and have they stop losses well above the level, right? 200 pip stop, because this is a almost 600 pip sell off on gold. Yeah, it's about $600 sell off on gold that we're looking to see go ahead and play out. And I'm not gonna lie, I'm really underplaying how strong I think DXY is about to go. And that's just because I'm a humble guy. What can I say? But I really don't. Let me break it down to y'all, right? When I look at DXY on a monthly time frame, from what we just swept, there's no swing high, right? And what is a swing high? If you don't remember, swing high is when I have a candle like this, right? And then that candle, like say that's an up candle, say this is an up candle, all right? And then that high has two lower highs to the right and left of it, right? So here, boom, we have a down candle, and then on the other side we have a down candle. All right, even if the wicks came up a little bit close to it, all right, that is a swing high. All right, when you have this middle candle with two lows on the right and the left of it. All right, does that make sense? Now if this candle wick was above it, this would no longer be a swing high, because it only has a low, it only has a high lower than it to the left, and this one is higher than it, right? Now if it was here, then yes. All right, same thing if the body was up here, same thing, right? This would be a swing high, right? Because you got two candles down to the right and to the left of it. Hope that makes sense. Y'all let me know in the chat. All right, so with that being said, looking at this monthly time frame here on the dollar, I have, they just took lows here with this wick down, right? Came down below these lows, and then they went ahead and came up higher. And so if I'm looking for them to target something after sweeping these lows, it's gonna be some sort of a swing high, right? And when I look at this and I look at July's high that we're targeting on a short-term basis right here, that's not a swing high. So that's baby money right there. Then when I look at May's high, this is the closest, right? This is the closest swing high for them, right? Because we have boom to the left of it here and boom to the right of it here, right? But when you look at March, that's the last time we had two lower highs to the left and then two to the right. So I could see them coming up higher above March, and then we have this fair value gap up here for them to target. All right, so that's why even looking at it, I wouldn't be surprised to see gold make that major of a sell-off, because dollar has you know, same area, right? And that's down there at, well, I guess it would be lower than that, but either way it goes, right? It's a good enough level similar to the dollar. So yeah, that's what I'm thinking on them. Let me see, what else are we gonna look at real quick. Let's see, how long have I'll do one more. Let's take a look at GU, because we do have some GBP news this week. We do also have CAD news. I'll look at CAD. Let's look at USD CAD, because USD CAD, she be acting up when she wants to. So, looking at USD CAD, right? So we start on the weekly. Now, so looking at the weekly on CAD, again, and this is where we had taken the lows here back in July. We took the price action that brought us back up into this. We saw them sweep. We saw them sweep the monthly lows of the year. Matter of fact, they swept the lows of the year here. We saw them expand higher, come back up, and then they took off from there. Now, we left this breaker. So going up to the higher time frame, lower time frames. Beautiful how they respected that here in the beginning of the month. Continued up higher. Now, I'm going to take the same initiative as everything else. 20 days before the beginning of July, we already just took that high here, so I'm gonna go back a little bit longer. I'll go back 40 days. All right, so boom. Now, here's the thing about CAD. All right, looking at CAD, CAD has pushed her way up into premium levels on this higher time frame. So I'm gonna want to see her show some disrespect to these premium levels, right? So, and this is her first opportunity to really show that. And so boom, we seen her come into her LOL, right? But we seen her come up into this fair value gap one time here with Tuesday's price action, and then they traded away, came back down to equilibrium here. Excuse me. Now they're on their way back up into that level. I'm not the biggest fan of her being up in this premium, but let's look at last week's Monday, because I love that. Last week Monday was here. So if dollar is going to continue super bullish, right? And we have the highs of last week right here. Real quick as well, after this fair value gap, our next highs to target are the highs of May over here. Okay, cool. And we've already seen USD CAD take July's highs, even though the dollar hasn't taken July's highs yet. So on CAD, yeah, CAD is good to be in swing positions on already. Coming out of this discount here at the beginning of the month, beautiful swing opportunities. Let's see, what are some discount levels I could see on CAD? Now, because CAD is at this fair value gap, as you can see, we've seen a lot of resistance coming into this level. So I'm paying attention to what discount areas, and not discount as in this blue, not as in the higher time frame discount, but just below where we're at right now, stand out to me. And looking at it, there's not, like, it's not a lot. I have this gap here. I think that was from the open of today. Is it? Yeah, that was from the open of today. So we have that new week opening gap that we could see them potentially trade down and see what their response is to that level. The only other place than that would be underneath these lows from Thursday and Friday, if they're going to see a drop off, right, and respecting this fair value gap that we have right here, because I wouldn't really just pay attention to this wick because the candle is so small. I would be paying attention to this, but they already traded down into that level. So I'm not gonna lie to you, if UCAD is gonna really push through this fair value gap, I want to see her respect the opening of the week, maybe even the low of the so far Sunday. But UCAD, I'm gonna have to trade on a per day basis. It's difficult for me to have a at top of the week analysis on USD CAD because of the fact that we're so deep in premium already. Like, again, when we look at everything else, let's do some intermarket analysis. When I look at EURUSD has not swept the lows of July yet. Here's the lows of July on EURUSD, right? When I look at GBP USD, they barely, right? They have swept the lows of July's right here. Also notice I didn't do an analysis on GU today. But either way, they barely swept those lows. When we look at gold hasn't swept the lows of July yet. And when I look at dollar hasn't swept the highs of July yet, right? So it's a little bit of like not alignment as far as those sweeps on where liquidity is located. And on top of that, USD CAD is trading up into a premium level at the same time. So that's why it's like this is not ideally where I would want to have a higher time frame bias on bullishness. You get what I'm saying? Because again, they've already swept those July highs. Dollar hasn't done that. We're in a premium on a higher time frame. So yeah, it's something that I would more so pay attention to as the week transpires. Because what I was gonna point out is that we had them come here last week. They swept down into this order block at the top of the week here, and then we saw them displace. So I would pay attention to this fair value gap here. But you see on Thursday, they already traded back down into that thing. You feel me? So really, if they're going to continue higher, it needs to be aggressive. Like they already traded out of this, I'm sorry. We've already saw them trade out of this range here. All right. So we had a consolidation here. They traded out of the consolidation, retraced back. They respected it, traded away. All right. Then we saw them give a little bit more of a consolidation here. They traded back into it, and then they traded away. Then they came back here into it, respected it, traded away. All right. Then came back here, respected this level, and we traded away. But they haven't taken these highs here from last week yet. So that would be my eye for them to sweep, or for the target, short-term target on UCAD. And like I said, paying attention to this gap, because that's the only real area or key level that I can really put my finger on looking at her, and that is at 144.20. 134.42. Sorry, yeah, 134.42. So I'll keep my eyes on that. So let me set my alerts on my chart for today. Hey guys, no mistake, Maverick here at 2 a.m. in the morning in the do-rag to make sure that these videos are perfect for you. All right, if you made it to the end of this video, clearly you've gotten some value. So leave us a comment, like the video, and subscribe. We really appreciate if you share the mission, because our goal is to empower entrepreneurs and professionals, whether they're working a career full-time or running a business full-time, to make a reliable income through day trading currencies and indices. Okay, we have a weekly market outlook that releases on this channel. We do it live in our community, so feel free to join our free community so you can get access to stuff like this live. Okay, other than that, we have videos coming out on this channel to go ahead and educate. We have a free mini course in the description that you can get access to right now, and plenty of other value on the way. So you guys have a great one, and see you on the next video here on the Traders Guild.